we'll come there and hopefully make a bit of noise. And if we don't go behind early, hopefully we can silence what is, an impressive stadium and an impressive home crowd. We need to, as I said, we need a lot of things to go our way. We need to keep the game tight. We need to stay in the game. And if we go ahead, we need to get a second probably. We're capable of doing all of that, but you know how football is sometimes. Sometimes it just doesn't go your way. Hi there, this is Dave Lane from Beesotted, the Brentford fanzine. We've been going for donkey's years. Used to be inky fanzine back in the early 90s. And we've morphed into all kinds of things, and now we're a podcast predominantly, and we've got a website, beesotted.com, and Beesotted, Beesotted on Twitter. Big game for us this weekend. You've probably had a bigger London derby last weekend and probably expecting a little bit more out of this one. And I'm here to tell you what's been going on in TW8 in Brentford so far this campaign and the last few years since we've been in the Prem. This season, the fixture list has handed us out some unwinnable away games and some very winnable home games. And luckily, the home games have gone to plan. We've beaten Crystal Palace and Southampton on our own patch. And then Liverpool away and Man City away in our first two away matches have gone to the form book, really. You don't really go to Anfield too many times and get anything out of that. And Man City is Man City at the moment. Although we have won there a couple of years ago, but a lot went our way. And this year we scored way too early in 20 seconds. And I think you know what's going to happen when you rattle that tiger up at the Etihad. So it's been a mixed start to the season. We've got points on the board, which we're very, very relieved about. It's important that we make the most of home advantage when we get the opportunity. So the third really tricky away game on the trot is a visit to the Tottenham Stadium this weekend. Your form is kind of up and down, and we're hoping that continues so we can take advantage of your high press and your getting in behind. Maybe that's a bit of a stereotype. We'll find out, but we haven't got Johan Wieser, so we're another man down. Another one of our strikers is gone. We'll get onto the Ivan Toney situation shortly. So the season, so far so okay. The job Thomas Frank has been doing it can't be underestimated how important he is to the success and everything that we've achieved at Brentford. He's a humble guy. He's a lovely guy. Some people see him as being arrogant. I don't know how they see that, to be honest with you. I guess as opposition fans see different things in different personalities, but I can't fault him. He's growing into the role in the top flight. He's being groomed for the top jobs. Pep Guardiola saying some great things about him. He was mentioned in the Chelsea vacancy, the latest Chelsea vacancy, and Manchester United had a chat with him about the role, whether that was a serious one or whether they're just sounding him out about the future. But Thomas Frank, he's in the perfect job. He's in the perfect club for him too, and he speaks highly of Brentford. I don't think he's itching to go anywhere. I think he can see what happens to the people like Potter that kind of dish in a great job for like the bright lights of stardom at a big club. It can go pear-shaped pretty quickly. So I think he's very cautious about about that situation. Kind of, he's well loved where he is. He's never going to get sacked. He's him and the owner and the director of football. They're all three of them work so tightly. I think he'll jeopardise that very, very, very cautiously. Ivan Toney's situation is something that's haunted us or hung over us for the last 2 seasons. You can't take Toney's goals out of a club like ours and it not have a big effect. Last year, we were without him from the start up until January. He came in, we came back, and he scored a couple of goals, really important ones. We needed that at the time. Then his season kind of tailed off a little bit. But this summer is all about him leaving the club again. I know he's mentioned about leaving a couple of times, which has rattled some Brentford fans rightly. But, with that and his betting incidents, he was just taking up too much bandwidth. Yes, he scored goals that got us into this division. Yes, he scored goals that kind of kept us here, arguably, but our record without him is pretty good as well. It wasn't all about Ivan Toney really as a team, but it was becoming all about Ivan Toney as a personality and in the press, and it's a distraction to what else is going on. There's a lot of positives going on at our place, so we could have probably got a bit more money for him this time last year if he hadn't have been banned, but that's the way it pans out. It's just whether he should have gone to Saudi is another question. I'm sure we've all got an opinion on that, but I don't care anymore, if I'm honest with you. Ivan Toney always did what Ivan Toney wanted. He goes and he earns a fortune, and I doubt he's losing any sleep over anything, to be honest. So we wish him well, but it's probably the last any of us hear of him. If he stays there for 4 years, I'm not sure Premier League club's going to come back in for him. He's probably going to be as rich as Croesus, and he probably would just retire. So that's the way that one goes. It's nice to put a full stop underneath that episode. Thoughts on Tottenham this season is that, we're probably playing you at a decent time for us. That's not to say that you can't sort of overwhelm us. We saw that in stages in the game we played last year. We went a goal up, you stormed back into it, and then we should have equalised and got a draw out of that. You held out in the end. Season before, you were in a similar kind of position to where you are now, I think. Not a lot was going your way, but you still had, some great players in your team, and we came to your stadium and we won. And that could happen again. For that to happen again, though, we need a lot to go our way. We need to take our chances. We will create chances. We will get in behind you. It's not just your high line. We do that to everyone. We have created chances. Our XG is very good. It's impressive. That will continue without Wisa. Brian Mbumo, he's the one that scored a couple of goals at your place when we won. You know all about him. You know his threats. He's bang on it again this season. He's been talked about going to a big club for next year, so to Liverpool probably. They seem to be sniffing around him as kind of a Mo Salah replacement, which it makes a lot of sense. So he's a really nice kid though, and I don't think he's itching to go, but it doesn't mean he won't. The 2 meetings last year, home and away, well, we should have beaten you. First game of the season at our place, 2-0 up. We were kind of kicking ourselves that we let that one slip. But that's the way that goes as well. If you can't make a 2-0 advantage stick, then you kind of get what you ask for. And well, I've just spoken about the game really at New White Hart Lane. I think we probably should have got more out of that as well. But really that 5-10 minute spell after the break at your place, you kind of swamped us, and that's what we need to avoid again. So we got lessons to learn from that. The favourite memory from the Tottenham Brentford fixture, I remember coming to Old White Hart Lane in the League Cup. We took a goal lead. Andy Scott scored, and I was still queuing up to get in. It was a decent away following that day, and we were queuing up outside the stadium to get in. So I missed that, and then the rest of the tie went to the form book. but I guess it has to be winning there a couple of seasons ago. It was right at the end, towards the end of the season. We went to the Beavertown Brewery afterwards, and they had karaoke there, and that was a very messy night. So happy memories about that. Which Spurs player do we fear? Well, it's Maddison, really. You know, love him or hate him. You probably love him. We hate him. Norwich and at Leicester. He's kind of scored against us, and the shithousery has been there. We love to hate him, and the old dart throwing from last season was very funny. That was only going to ever end up one way, and that was with egg on our faces. But that was Toney and Maupay, and Maupay just can't help himself sometimes. So and you probably saw Maupay's reaction when Maddison was left out of the England squad. He just stood there in front of a darts board. So very funny. But I think Brentford fans were saying, oh mate, really, this ain't going to end well. So it didn't. But sometimes you just got to do these things. Which Brentford players should you be looking out for? Well, we've mentioned Brian Mbeumo. The fact that Weiser is missing means that Kevin Schade probably going to start. His career's not really kicked off properly. We've had a couple of false dawns which have ended with him being injured. So it's not necessarily his form or his ability that's a problem. It's literally, we had a horrendous injury crisis last year, and it's spilt over into this one. Our Ivan Toney replacement, Thiago's out for half the season with knee injury. Rico Henry's still not back from being out all year. Aaron Hickey's still not back. Matty Jensen is the player that I'm hoping that will be a fit for tomorrow, so he can help unlock that defence. His vision, his passing is going to be central to anything that we get out of the game. So to look out for, it's Brian Mbeumo. He's our stardust at the moment. So I'm expecting a real open game. We've gone 4 at the back in the big away games so far this season, which is a difference from last year. Normally it's 5, and we park the bus. We didn't do that at Anfield. We didn't do that at Etihad, and we went toe to toe with both those teams, and just the better team won in the end. And there's no harm in that. There's no crime in that. Sometimes we have to be honest and humble enough to know that we're just not quite at that level yet. And each year that we're here, we get closer and closer. And each transfer window, we're able to buy in better, deeper quality players that are kind of well within their comfort zone here. We've got a lot of players that still did that did brilliantly to get us out of the Championship. We brought them in, they're still here. People like Christian Norgard, people like Matty Jensen, people like Brian Mbeumo, they were central to that promotion team. They're still here, so we're kind of morphing into a different team, a bit like Brighton did. Sometimes that takes a few years, unless you want to just chuck every penny that you get for being in the Premier League at your squad in year one, like Forest did. Then sometimes it just does take a bit of evolution. Predicted lineup is a bit difficult. It just really depends on whether we could put Schade as the number 9, or whether we play Carvalho in a false 9 position. I think Carvalho will start again. I think we need him. He's got the quality there from Liverpool. I think you're all aware of him. And then it's whether we've got all the fit bodies we need for the middle, but it should be fairly unchanged. I'm hoping, apart from Weiser from the lineup that did us proud up at Manchester City. So hopefully it gives you a little bit of an understanding about what we're expecting. We'll come there and hopefully make a bit of noise, and if we don't go behind early, hopefully we can silence what is an impressive stadium and an impressive home crowd. We need to, as I said, we need a lot of things to go our way. We need to keep the game tight. We need to stay in the game. And if we go ahead, we need to get a second, probably. We're capable of doing all of that, but how football is sometimes. Sometimes it just doesn't go your way. But I think our performances away from home this year have been good. We've been positive, as I said. Thomas Frank is not coming to just get a point. He'll come for 3. and it's down to our players to prove that they're better on the day. So I hope you enjoy the game tomorrow. Hope you go home really, really miserable, and don't take it out on us if that's the case. If you want to see any more of our content, come over to Beesotted, BEESOTTED.com, or look up Beesotted on Twitter.